example, but for me, like sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I am into academia, so it was not much of, I have to land and then I have to straight up look for jobs on Indeed or any of those websites. It was more of, I'm going to be here, I'm going to explore the research that is being done in my university, find my interest, then go introduce myself with that lab and then go initiate conversations with them. But it's a bit different for corporate fields. So it's a completely different ball game altogether with the different fields that are there.
And at a master's, when you navigate a master's, since you've also been there at the undergraduate level, what is the difference in the jump in education? Is it really hard to sort of
Um,
maintain that 2-1 or to get the grades that are required? How would you help somebody who's brand new going in for a master's to just give them key 3 pointers to say this is how you navigate coming in from India in terms of just academic ability?
yeah, it is a jump. It is a big jump, especially on the basis of so with my degree, for example, it's a very, and most degrees over here, they really do focus on research, the kind of writing that you do. So if there is one thing in particular that I would ask someone to focus on, it would be introduce yourself to like academic writing and the way you read a research paper, for example. It's not they're going to give you 15 papers and they're going to be like that this is your pre-reading for task tomorrow, but there is a skill and a way to which you even get to reading those 15 papers so that you're not spending 15 hours just doing that, because you don't only have that one module, right? So it's look up online videos, get yourself familiarized with how to reference, how to write in an academic style, because these are things they expect a student who's coming at a master's level to have already. This is not going to be built upon during your master's degree, which is, for example, in an undergraduate degree, it is done, but even to a very basic level. But there are it's not like, okay, if I'm not done this, I'm just going to be completely blank. There are resources, but then you also need to be able to know how to navigate those resources and get to those resources in the first place. So get
Is there
aware with, sorry,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm interrupting. Is there
No,
any
no.
resource that you could think of off the top of your head that one would say, yes, this is a great resource to look at?
I mean, with the universities that I have applied to, every university has a career site or a library site that has these sort of booklets, catalogs that have all sorts of ways in which what the university expects for their degree. So for example, King's has a King's Careers Connect. I think it was Careers Connect, sorry. But they have a whole website with how to reference in APA format, how to reference in MLA format, how to use different sorts of referencing tools, for example, to not sit and manually write each reference, how to do a literature search, how to navigate your way with a CV and cover letters. All of these resources are available. It's not something that they expect you to have on it's not expected to know, and you're just supposed to know how to get to these resources basically.
Got it. Another quick question is that you were also a London-based student, right? So we have a lot of students going to London for their masters. If your advice could also be, how do you navigate a big city, and what are some of the ways to get discounts over there? Is there honestly discounts anymore than when I went
Yes.
to study? So please give
um
advice on navigating big cities, maybe just not London, maybe like a big city. It could be New York, it could be Boston. So how would one navigate a big city? Your advice on that?
Um, Personally, so I'm from Bombay, so it was a bit easier for me to navigate the hustle and bustle of London, but it's quick. It is really, really quick. There is no space to walk. There's place to run on the escalator as well. So you need to have those walking shoes on because they really want you to be running, not walking. But in it's intimidating at first, but it you get used to it. I personally feel like because I was there for those 3 years, I took my time to get used to it. But I know people who've come for their masters now, and they made their way through talking with other people, through communicating, and everything is available now. With like, these tubes can be a bit overwhelming, underground can be overwhelming, but Google Maps makes sure that you have all of the information to what platform, what line, what color, what time, everything, and it's very accurate. Excuse me for that. But other than that, student discounts, yes, there are apps like Uni Days, Student Beans, all of these things. And it's not something that, if you don't know it, you're going to be lost. Every university has a fair, like an opening welcome fair. And these things are introduced through brochures. Yeah, they have stalls. And there's like, for example, Uni Days comes up with a stall, and they'll promote their app. They'll tell you how to get these sort of discounts. So they do, and there's no harm in always going and asking for a student discount, because there are many brands and restaurants that do these sorts of discounts, and they expect students to come and be like, there's no shame in asking. Even if it's 10%, you're going to save that sort of money. So just ask.
Okay,
And even at
that's
the
good
biggest of
advice.
brands.
That's good advice. Just
Mm.
ask for a student discount, and if there is, you might get it.
Yeah, exactly. If there is, you might. If there is not, they're just going to be like, sorry, but no shame.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The other question was that when you, like you said, at the master's orientation week, you say is important. So students, if there is a possibility for you to go to what's called an induction week or an orientation week, that you would say is critical because it allows them to understand or navigate. Do they also in orientation week explain banking or how to get used to having a bank account, maybe on campus or off campus? How do you navigate that aspect of banking?
Yes, so there is, so again, in your university fairs during an induction week, you'll have a university fair. A fair will be in a way that there'll be all sorts of societies and different banks that come together to be like, hey, Lloyd's is a great bank, come and join us, for example. And they have these, and even with like SIM cards, they all of it comes in those university fairs. So that's a really good space to, um, just go and understand and learn what all is there. And personally for me, induction, I felt, was the most important, because everyone's as lost as you are in those first few days. Everyone in that room is lost, and as you navigate through that, you're going to find friends, you're going to find people who are going to help you, and then you're going to make your way through it together, because they don't have a bank account as well. They want to do the same thing, which is why they are there. So I made my friends in during the induction week. I'm still only with them. They're my only friends here. But yeah, it was really important.
So I
Good.
think that's great learning for all the masters who are worried about going to a new place. New induction week is when you make friends, reach out, say hi, shake a hand, and do all cultures, or do you make friends only with Indians?
No, I interacted with everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I'm chatty as a person in general. So I feel like I want to talk to people. I want to get to know where they are from, and it's everyone has such a different story, and it's so lovely to hear how they've made their way through and how they've come to university in the first place as a whole. So I spoke to a lot of people. I got a lot of numbers. I cannot tell you how many numbers which I have, which just say random names and then kings, just for me to know that these are all the numbers. But towards the end of it, I realized that I want to go back to, even though in your classes you have like a diverse range of people, when you go home at like university in like a completely different environment, you want the sort of people who you can speak your own language with. You want to communicate with comfort. So I inclined more towards the Indians to become completely close with, but I did have friends who were international as a whole.
Oh, that's great to know, and great sharing. So, what is the one? Because we have students in this audience going for the first time to for a master's, but to Australia, to US, to UK, and even to Canada. What is the one tip? Of course, one tip is reach out, attend induction, understand the learning resources. What is it that they can do before they go? Right here, because they still have a month to go. Is there any sort of research paper they should be writing right now? What is it that you think, that one thing you wish and I'm sure you have friends who are coming from India for the first time, that they reach out to you to say, look, this is an important navigation skill which you should have learned before you came. Sonam, can you close the PPT, please?
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like there can be a difference in a way what you want academically and personally as to what you would expect when you have. Academically, I would definitely, if I go back to myself, I would have loved if I had introduced myself to the way of writing that the UK expects to have. When I say way of writing, it is, I don't know, I felt during my IB, I was a bit spoon-fed. And I thought it would be expected that I come here and I can go and ask my supervisors or my professors every question that I have. But that's not what they want. They want you to be independent, and they want you to be independent for a majority of the percentage of it. They themselves are like, they are researchers who are teaching. They're not teachers. So they do not have an answer to everything, and they want you to make your way through your question yourself. So just trying to become more independent in navigating that sort of an educational platform where you are at a master's level. Um, Google has an answer to most of your questions. Maybe try going to Google, try getting your answers solved. Now, ChatGPT has answers to everything. No shame in going to ChatGPT to ask your basic questions. If you don't get a response, maybe then go to your supervisor or your lecturer or anyone at that, but don't go straight away without doing that sort of research, because they are going to ask you yourself as to what did you look up for, where are you stuck, and you can't just be like, I don't know how to do this. They're not going to help you with, I don't know how to do this. So independence is very, very important, and I feel like that goes again to your personal life as well, where it can be overwhelming, it can be complete, it can be scary at times, but you need to uh, I don't know what's the formal way of saying it, but you just got to pick it up and you got to do it. Because, yeah,
Tell me something. How important is knowing a little bit of cooking? Has that made any difference to you? Would you say that the kids should learn little basics before coming in, or not needed? You can navigate without it.
A little basic I feel is important, because you're going to have those days of, missing home. And even if it is a basic dal chawal or chai, like that basic, it can really remind you of home. um and like that's the thing, right? When you go to when you have an accommodation where you have your friends with you, you're going to try and create that sort of a social surrounding where, oh, we're going to cook together, we're going to sit down and eat dinner together. So when during such times you get to try different cuisines, you have different people who come together and cook, so maybe have some knowledge, because again, it can be very expensive to be like, I'm going to Deliveroo or Uber Eats everything.
Oh, that's good to know. I remember that when my son was going, two things I taught him: a mixed hot pot khichdi with all the sabji. And he became famous at Cornell for his special, he gave it a fancy name just to get out of
Yeah.
saying it is a hot pot, and pav bhaji. He said pav bhaji was a hit,
Yeah.
and all the Chinese actually loved it.
Yeah.
And became a hit with international students based on the two things ever he learned to cook. And even now, that's the only thing he cooks very well.
Yeah.
So, does that help? So we do have a parent here, Bijal. Would you share what you taught your son before he went?
Or what you send him from here, in case it makes it easier to
Yeah,
navigate.
that makes it easier. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I know parents are really all the time anxious, no matter whether you're sending them for undergrad or postgrad. And every parent wants to know what it is that my child has eaten during the day and they're not going hungry. However, they do know how to fend for themselves and how to find their own path over there. But some basic skills are necessary. So as she already mentioned, Rishita has already mentioned, even if you know just the basics, may not have it all. But then what happens is just, little out of trial and error, you are going to better yourselves. But what we can do is that there are certain only, so when they're packing and going, there is only so much baggage allowance. But there are a lot of places from here where you can courier things to them. So even if you want to courier ready-made food or dehydrated food or, basic masalas with your recipes, snacks, everything can be couriered from Bombay. So it is not necessary that you have to pack the entire thing with them. Let them go, settle down, see what is really available on campus and around, and then maybe you can take a call of what it is that they really need.
So that brings me to the very important question of baggage. It is, you have two hands. So my favorite is two hands, two bags, one backpack, walking shoes. So as a parent and as a student and anybody else who's traveled, this is the time I welcome suggestions, because what should I pack is a question I'm being asked on a daily basis by many parents. So first Bijal, Ishika, and then Rishika, and then anybody else who's had a tip on how to navigate the baggage allowance on very tiny room. Remember, your
so
room is very tiny.
Yeah. So, just as a parent, I would say that there are a lot of things that they're going to need over there, but you're not going to be able to pack everything from here. There are certain very personal and essential things, for example, like your medicine. Those are the things which you must pack from your end, send. Basic clothing and all that, what you need right now, because every country has very different weather. And what we wear over here is not necessarily what is going to be required over there. So it is important that you go there, understand the weather, and then in about 1 or 2 months, they also learn from where they need to shop, right? If it's going to be a very harsh winter, you will need jackets from there. There is going to be snow, you will need shoes from there. So there are basic things you can pack from here and go, but you will not be prepared for all kinds of weather from here. Also, certain kind of clothes and all what you need from here, even when for your room, you're going to need blankets, mattress, pillows, all of that is available over there. And it is even available online. Even if you as a parent want to check, you can check it from here itself and see what is available online. You can go there and buy, or very much just buy it online and it will be delivered. So try and keep those heavy kind of things or space taking things out of the bags. Those things can be bought directly from that country. Yeah, Rishita, you want to add what you have packed?
Sorry. Yes, I'm going to sound like a very typical student now and be like, don't pack everything. When I came, I packed a lot of things. None of it I have used. When I and when I say everything, I wanted to carry all of my clothes, which I was heavily emotionally attached to, but none of it has been helpful over here because the weather is confusing and very, very confusing. When it comes to clothes, basics, like very, very basic clothes is always going to come in handy with your full sleeves, because they're usually used in every weather, but you get everything over here. And there are stores which are cheap. So in the UK, there's Primark, which is sometimes even cheaper than India when it comes to clothes. So that's a great place to just go and be like, I'm going to have my room sorting thing today, and you're going to go and you're going to buy. And that one store has everything when it comes to duvet, to kitchen essentials, to clothes, to bathroom essentials, everything in that one store, and cheap place. So you're not going to be spending as much money onto that. But from India, the one thing I really, really found helpful was dehydrated food. I feel like that's the one thing that I use a lot, and it just takes me back to home and saves me so much time sometimes when it comes to cooking, because I genuinely don't have that much time to be like, I'm going to cook dinner now. When you just have to remove that one packet, put some hot water into it, it makes life easier. And if it was not for that, I would have survived on cup noodles. So that's something that's really come in handy. Even with like what else? I feel like like don't like get bed sheets and your utensils and all of that. They're really easily available over here. So don't waste your baggage on carrying a cooker is important if you cook. That's very expensive over here. I had to just purchase one yesterday because my mom's coming and she's like, I'm not going to live without a cooker. But I've spent 5 years without a cooker and now I had to purchase one, which is so expensive over here. So a cooker is really important if you cook.
I would say there is another version of cooker that I used in US and my friend uses in Australia. It's called the hot pot. And
Oh,
it's cooker, but you can time it, and it doesn't. It keeps food hot. So if you're going out and coming back in 2 hours, it keeps, you don't have to be alert to the, like the whistle and be there to close it. You can. It takes, I think, 2 or 3 turns, and you can then perfect the art of how much water it needs, and it switches itself off. Do you think that's a good, and that is available at almost every country in the world that I've been to? Do you think that's better
Yeah.
than a traditional cooker?
I mean, yeah, in one way, I didn't have a cooker because these fire alarms are really sensitive. So even with the bit of smoke, it's going to ring, and the whole building is going to look at you in with a lot of annoying faces, especially at like midnight or whatever time you're cooking, which is the realistic time that you're cooking. So I chose, and I don't really trust myself with things that are closed. I want to see what's happening while it's cooking, because I don't know when it's going to just burn from down, or I don't know what's going to happen. So I didn't have a cooker for that reason, but that sounds like a great thing if you can just like, you can see things also with a, and it
Yeah.
looks, seems less
That is
harmful.
what, yeah, I've used and I found it
Yeah.
great. And Australia, US, Canada, UK, it's available. And it's the more modern version of the traditional Indian cooker. It doesn't have a CT, and you
Yeah.
can time it to switch off, and doesn't ring the fire alarm.
Yeah.
So I think it invented by an Indian, I'm sure, who took care of.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Any questions for her? We have got a parent, we have got 2 parents and a student on the hot seat. Anyone else? Any questions for them? Okay. So we are so
Thanks,
happy that
Rishita,
you
for
joined us.
joining us. Really sweet of you. Appreciate you coming in,
No.
and best of luck. Oh, there is one question. One hand has gone up. Let's ask.
Yes,
Meena,
Meenal
please.
ma'am.
Hi, Pratibha ma'am. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to ask you, is there any particular brand of dehydrated packet foods that they allow, or certain packets which they will be for when it's going in courier, nothing really matters. So, are there any
That's
particular
a great
brands? If you are
question.
carrying things with you, certain masalas and all, do they throw it off? Do
So
they allow
I'll
you to
just
carry?
answer that. So normally what happens, so they want to see something with a branded packet. Means if it is with a company name
Okay.
or those things.
Okay.
What they do not trust is those things which we just put in our sealed bags, which they cannot identify. Right?
So if we
those,
vacuum seal certain, suppose theplas and bhakris and send it for the first lot,
then
do they allow
that is
it?
fine. No, yeah, bhakris and theplas is not a problem. What they really take an objection is those spices, because
Okay.
that is what they are not very sure. And your dehydrated food will definitely look like some masala only, right? Because that is how it literally turns out to be sometimes.
Huh,
So it is
correct.
good that those are coming from some proper branded, or you pack it in such a way that it is not open and they cannot see that it is one of those kind of things which cannot be identified by them.
So all this is now easily available in everywhere, right? Okay.
Everywhere.
Easily available. Plus, I would check with the Australia, since Ryan is going to that. Nowadays, they are a little strict. So if I would suggest, just probably send the 3 essential masalas of jeera and, or a mix, but branded, and the labels clearly written. That so it what it the ingredients that are there, and if needed, if they object, you can throw it. But that's about it. What almost every single country, every single city has an Indian store where you can pick up literally anything you want. And so nowadays it's not so worrisome when children travel.
Yeah, anyway, they are too used to having Italian and Mexican food while here, so I'm not going to cry about Indian food there because they're hardly living on Indian food.
Correct.
But yeah, that's about it. And should we ideally reach 1 week, 10 days before the session starts?
Yeah, ideally about a week, I think, just to get over jet lag, because almost every place does have a 12-hour or 15-hour, 16-hour, 12 difference. So it's more to get over jet lag, so that when you attend orientation, it is probably the time when you should be mentally most alert, because then you are participating in events. That's where you make your friends, you understand one of my students said that's the only time you ever see the campus. Because later on, you are from your dorm to your classroom and you never get to see the facilities of the campus.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I think for moving in, most universities do specify that you can come in so many days earlier. Only then they will.
Yeah.
And if you're staying in an apartment outside the campus, then it is fine. You can move in at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank
that's
you.
also that's well shared, Bijal, that please check in the moving in date to your dorm so that you are well aware. Maybe you have to stay at a hotel or with friends till you reach your dorm room.
We have one more question if you guys all three don't mind waiting. Samriddhi, unmute yourself and ask your question.
So my question is for Rishita. I wanted to ask you, like, what is the most ideal way of looking for employability options in UK? Is it only through your UL, because I've applied for UL, so is it only through your college's employability services, or is it some research that we have to do on our own?
Samriddhi, hi. It'll be great to know what kind of degree you are doing and what kind of role you would want to get employability in.
So I am planning for a MA in design management.
Okay, so it would come under a corporate field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's mainly going to be by yourself. Your university is going to be your university will help you make a cover letter, will help you make a CV and tailor it to particular roles that are available. But you're going to have to look for websites, job openings, LinkedIn, all of that by yourself. And yeah, to get a job in over here. Yeah. So it's mainly independent work. They do have some roles that come up on their websites, but they are mainly it's just a link to the external service where they have already posted the job. So you're gonna have to look up for these sorts of roles by yourselves, mainly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That start now before you reach make your resume and profiling. Once you reach college, it may be difficult. That's my
Yeah,
advice.
sorry, I think the one thing I really, really want to add is that if you are going to the UK has a very different format of a CV that they expect. So if you would want to do one sort of research, it would be to have a look at what kind of CV is accepted over here for corporate fields, for academia, which is mostly the same sort, but they have a format of accepted CVs, which go through like the tracking system and the ATS system for corporate fields. So now is the best time for you to perfect your CV and to add more things onto it and get it into the guidelines of the UK system. Because when you come here, you don't want to be spending that time making your CV. You want that sort of thing to be there already.
Yeah.
Great
right.
advice, and that would go to each country. So Australia has its own format, US has its own format, and therefore what we share is largely the academic format. But that's great advice. That please customize your format on according to the country in which you want to take up employment, because everybody may have a different format which is not standardized. And I think you get templates available on every country's website. And I think this is the time when you're nervous, you have nothing to do, please work on it, because later on you may not have time. So that's a great idea. And the other thing that I would want to really advise students, if you can get in touch with seniors who are into job markets already, they would be great resources as well. And so we have Vanshita, who's now attending this session as herself a postgrad applicant, but you've studied in US. Any advice on life skills, safety things that you all went through when you were there?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Vanshita. I went to NYU. I just graduated. I think safety-wise, I would say that I don't think one should be scared from using public transport, but at the same time be wary, have like timings that you don't use it. And in the beginning, I would say, explore with friends so that in case you get lost or something, there's someone else that can help you. Also in like general life skills, I would say LinkedIn is a great tool. Along with the career center, I feel like if you know someone who studied the same major as you or who's a senior, like just seeing that what they do with their degree and you know what they're doing in college and then connecting with them and talking to them is great, because sometimes in a lot of like internships and job offers and stuff, they are the ones that like that can get you an in at the company, even if it's just an internship, because if they worked there or they know someone who worked there, I think it's a great way to connect and be involved, and also a great way to make friends. So I would definitely say use LinkedIn.
Yeah, so great summary on that. Use LinkedIn, network, and as safe as you can be, just like you avoid public transport after 6 in any city, same rules apply. Yes, Gauri.
Gauri has a question. Gauri, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, it's Gauri's dad here. I just
Yes.
wanted to check if somebody mentioned about carrying medicines.
Yeah.
Well, that's obviously that I understand needs to be supported by a prescription. But more importantly, I wish to know how does the medical care function for the student out there? I mean, यहाँ पे अगर कोई बीमार पड़ जाता है, we obviously reach out to our family doctor first, right? How does a student living alone there reach out to?
Mr. Kulkarni,
And-
which country is
yeah.
your daughter going to?
She's going to London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rishita, would
So-
you like to answer that?
Yes. Uncle, sir, sorry. What,
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I am I'm a bit wary with what I'm gonna say, but I don't want you to be like overwhelmed and scared by it also. But please have a list of medicines which your son or daughter is aware about, as to if I have a cold to meko ye lena hai, if I have a cough, if I have to ye lena hai, because even though you are paying for the health surcharge over here, you're insured for health services. Getting access to the hospital is very, very difficult, and realistically, like to meet the doctor is an easy 6-hour wait nowadays with the NHS. So I personally have fallen sick 4 times, have gone to the A&E, the emergency, have been asked to wait for over 6 hours, and have just come back home to ring my family doctor being like, this is what I'm going through, these are my symptoms, what do I take? And I have that medicine from back home which I'm going to take. Now I have grown to understand my symptoms to be like, yeah, I'm just going to get a sore throat and I'm going to pop a Crocin. But it's really important to have that list and have those medicines up to date with what I'm going to need at that particular time, and have that, because, and especially with antibiotics, because the weather over here, like, I don't know if you guys saw, but it was really sunny outside like 5 minutes back, and it's pouring
Yeah.
now. And
It's
that
very
can
fickle.
be, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really pouring it up. And it can cause a lot of sore throat, and cold has become a part of my personality now. So it's really crucial to, understand that you're just going to have to take a Crocin, and you're going to need that medicine with you wherever you go. So just have that sort of list and medicines at all times with the expiry dates there, and antibiotics also. Like, I have one antibiotic with me, which I always have, because getting medicines over the counter over here can also be difficult because you need prescription. And to get to the doctor to get prescription is 10 days of a wait. So
Yeah.
So Rishita, there is nothing like a clinic, right? They are only hospitals.
there are private clinics, but then you're not insured on those. And not many
Okay.
people do go there. There are like general physicians that you are appointed to, like a GP. Getting an appointment is very difficult for your general colds and coughs and fever. So they have a red, yellow, green system even in their emergencies. So if you're getting a heart attack and if you are dying, only then you're going to be seen then and there. Yeah, it's really sad. That's why I was like,
Yeah, but yeah, I know that the Indian doctors, but let me tell you, this scenario is not the same in US and not the same in Australia. I did have because I did do a course at Sydney, and there the system was they have a hospital clinic on in every university, You do have a line if it is, cough and cold is trending, then yes, maybe. But they are pretty quick to respond. So it's not as bad as UK, just because everywhere it is insured. Your insurance as a student covers it. So you don't want to spend that extra $10 or $20. So to that extent, it is available, but sometimes you may need to get in touch with an Indian doctor, carry all your reports with you. And what I find is the children should know that if I get a stomach ache, then this is the medicine. If I get a fever, then this is the medicine. Because the mothers give it, I know I give it, and my children don't question what I'm giving them for. So write it down, get your doctor to write it, and that becomes like your Bible in distress.
Now, if you run out of those medicines that you would have carried, even the general purpose ones, and you would have carried a prescription of your doctor in India, is that taken? Is that okay to be carried to a store to buy medicines, or it doesn't work?
So with antibiotics, I've only had to go once, and the Indian prescription didn't work. They want your GP, because you are associated with a general physician, but I'm not too sure if that's going to be the case for every antibiotic. Mine was a specific one, so they wanted it to be the one from the UK and the
I've
GP.
seen that even for something like a Roxade, they do need. So it's better to carry enough for one term. And in case you're coming back, then you carry again.
Like, if you
just-
can see this, I just have a list of these medicines, each with like stomach pain, and then these, and then I have like a checklisted mark for each, that these are all in my box right now, and these are over. So now my mom's coming, I'm asking her to get the ones that are not checklisted.
That's a good checklist, yeah.
So like,
Okay,
even
just two
with like,
more.
yeah.
Yeah, two more supplementary questions on this. So students do get covered under some medical insurance by default. She's with UAL.
It's part of your visa fees.
Okay, it's part of the
They
visa
are
fees. So,
national insurance, and so every student per se is designated to a national health scheme center near the university. But as Rishita said, you are entitled to it, but you just have to wait for it.
wait, yeah. So there is no need to buy a specific medical claim as such for this maybe couple of years of stay out there, right? In India, additional medical claim.
You should take an additional travel Medicare, because students
Travel.
do travel a lot outside of UK, Europe. So it should be a travel which covers travel and medical and baggage loss and things like that.
Okay, and universities don't have any kind of a clinic or hospital within the premises. You said they are just students are attached to an NHS, right? That's the only way. Okay.
Yeah, there is mental health support though at every university. So you're going to have mental health counselors and supporters for mental health per se. Physical health, you're going to have to go back to the NHS, which is the health service over here. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Kulkarni. We have two students whose hands have been up for a while. Vedika, I want to ask your question, please.
Yeah, this is Vedika's mom, Seema. Since we are on this medical thing, I would like to know the vaccinations to be given.
Yeah, so there is no prescribed vaccination now any longer. It's not mandatory. But my advice is talk to your GP and take every single protection you can, from typhoid to meningitis because the children will eat out. It's not as if, so everything your GP advises, especially typhoid, whatever. And start now. Some have a
This
3
morning
months.
I visited my GP, and he's advises for this MMR booster and influenza shots.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I would also say
and
that's
he said get a
ideal.
TB test done.
Absolutely. Whatever he advises for any one of us when we travel, I would take that and more. Protection against everything possible from India is the best. Even though the country does not mandate it, we should take it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Vanshita, you want to ask your question?
I think she wants to share.
Yeah, I do not have a question, but I just wanted to share my experience. In the US, I have been to the hospital almost every year for the most random different things, broken bones, dermatology, infections, all of that. It is very smooth. It is very easy. You contact the medical center in your university. You speak to the doctors that are in the university medical center, and then they see what is required. They might connect you to the emergency room, which they did when I had a broken bone, or to a specialist and stuff like that. It's all insured. The only time you have to pay is if you want to buy medicine or creams or something like that. I would also suggest that you take the vaccination, like some vaccinations in the country that you are going to, because the germs are different in every country. I personally prefer taking my influenza shots in the US because when it was this season, I just felt like they are much stronger and more equipped to deal with those specific germs. I also feel like at least in the US, when you go to a doctor, they don't give you the prescription yourself. It is sent directly to a pharmacy of your choice. And I feel like in those situations, it is better to take the medicine that the doctor is suggesting than the medicines from back home, because that gets very complicated. And sometimes they also don't know like the medicines that we take in India. And there are a lot of medicines in India which you just cannot buy in America or in other countries. So I would say be as prepared as you can, but also have like some faith in the medical system over there, because genuinely the air is different, the germs are different. When you feel sick, it's a different kind of sick than you feel sick in India or anywhere else. But yeah.
Yeah, and you have a mother here when you feel sick.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing. Aditya, are you in the room? Aditya Panchkula was supposed to join us to share his experiences from US. Any other student who wants to share? Then I'll just go over the very formal. Anyone else who has studied abroad and would like to share? So we are very concerned with security, with academics, and of course, food and falling sick. These are concerns of every student and parent at this stage, and therefore in pre-departure, we'd like to cover this. And if not, I will just do a last.
I'll
short-
I want to ask Vanchika, who's from New York. Vanchika, how did you navigate safety? Do you have any advice on safety?
Yes, I think the number one would be, even if you aren't best friends with your roommates or the people, that you live with, I would say share your location. Even if you aren't very close, even if they aren't your best friends, because if something were to happen, if your phone died or you're lost, and it's just, I mean, if you're living with someone and you notice that, oh, like this person hasn't come home today, like they are the people that are going to notice. It's not your best friends on campus who live in other buildings or stuff like that. So I think if you can judge another person's character and feel safe giving your location, and then this is someone who you see the most, I would say do it. Just be wary with public transport and stuff like that. Also, if you're using Ubers or Lyfts at night or in the morning, you're coming back home from the library after a long night of studying, stuff like that. They also have features where if you take a car ride after a particular time, there are people who get notified. So in my case, I'm a night studier, so I would go to the library, and if I'm coming back home at like 3 a.m. or something, then after 9 p.m., every taxi I take, there are people on my phone, two to three people who get a message saying I've taken an Uber, I'm in the Uber, and then they get a message when I've reached my destination. And of course, this is extra, but sometimes better safe than sorry, and no one's going to have a problem receiving such messages. So I think that is a great tool as well. And a lot of my friends carry pepper spray if that is something that people want to do, but it is illegal in some cities to buy it. So just be careful and like play by the rules and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, that's really good advice. I like this Uber advice. Nishita, do you have anything different from that to advise?
It's more about the tubes are really busy over here. The underground is really busy. So it's not like you're going to that you cannot take it after a particular hour or anything. It's more about how safe you feel by your surrounding and how confident you are when you are walking. If you are in an area which is completely dark and not lit up, you would not want to walk and you would not want to go in that area. I feel like when students come here, they're introduced to the concept of money in a very different way and be like, I don't want to spend those extra 10 pounds by taking a cab and I'd rather save that. But it's penny wise, pound foolish. Honestly, if it's dark, take the cab. It's only going to make you feel safer. And I've not seen many people here having pepper sprays. I don't think it is legal, but one thing that I'd really be careful about is we all love our fancy clothes, we all love our fancy shopping bags, our watches, our phones. Keep it to yourself. Nobody over here wants to know that you are rich. Even though you are rich, it is okay and just hide it well. I feel like it is you showing your purses is only going to attract people towards you, and you're going to have a tough time. You having a fancy phone is going to attract someone to take it away from you. So when you are walking, don't maybe leave those 10 minutes of Instagram or something. I feel like that's really important because now, especially now, London is being really horrible in terms of phone snatching. It's happening a lot. And when I say a lot, it's happening a lot. And even from your jackets, they're removing phones from jackets. So make sure it's in your pocket where where it becomes difficult to remove. You have a purse, maybe put it underneath your coat so it doesn't get snatched easily. So these are small things that I feel like you want your charm to stay, but maybe keep it hidden. That's as simple as, yeah.
That's very good advice. So
Great
when I went to
sharing
London,
and, avoid flashy phones, buy an Android if not just to travel. And the cheaper it is, the less significantly it attracts attention and less likely to be mugged just for your possessions. I think that's great practical advice.
yeah,
Yes, Sonu.
and I would say invest in a sling bag and don't put your purse on your shoulder, but sling it across so it's more difficult to snatch, like Shita said. And yeah, the less diamonds you wear, the better it is.
Yeah, less
Yeah, I
anything.
feel like jewelry, just avoid. Just
Mm.
avoid any sort of diamond earrings, because I know everyone likes to have these earrings, but you get those artificial ones very nicely at Primark. So maybe just invest in those rather than having these attractive jewelry.
I think
Yeah.
those rules apply to every country in the world. It applies to both genders, uh, male and female. And one very important learning that I had from my last session with the student, when you go out, please don't accept an open drink from anybody. People are known to spike drinks, whether at a bar. Please pay for yourself. Please, and especially guys, you think that don't worry. Please buy a closed drink. Make the drink yourself, because what one of the boys said that their drinks were spiked by just somebody in the bar who didn't even know them, and just for the fun of it.
I feel like even though you trust everybody, you need to have that within yourself that I'm going to hold my drink. Even with even if you are at a pub and someone's offering you a drink, I don't want to sound very negative with these sort of things. I just want to tell what the reality of the
Cautious.
situation
Yeah.
is. But I've had friends who were spiked by my own friends with a pill. So it's hard to. I've had friends who've been robbed from inside their room by flatmates. So it's not I don't want to have that negative sort of thing that even now the parents are also over here. It just creates that sort of scariness amongst them. But it's more of have that in you that I'm going to keep everything safe inside my bag. My passport is going to be inside. They really take even a BRP if they want, like a residence permit. My friend lost her residence permit, her cash. Don't keep cash. It attracts money. It attracts attention. Even if it is your flatmates, they don't care. They're going to take it and they're going to go, and you're never going to be able to uh, assume that they've taken it because you have that thing in your head that, oh, they're my closest friends. They're not going to take it. But it's just to be careful and be smart about the way you live over here.
I think that's great sharing. Be self-confident, self-reliant, self-security. Be a little selfish, and create a Lakshman Rekha around you in every way. And one important is, please do not share your laptop. Just yesterday, one of the students came and said he had done his homework. Roommate said, "Oh, my laptop is not working. Can I borrow yours?" And he just plagiarized his homework. So just be where your self-survival, self-security just depend on you yourself, and maybe a couple of friends with whom you share your location, and like track a phone, track a friend, so that you use multiple ways to protect. Again, not sounding scary, but we are using this pre-departure as a life skill training and what you should be aware of, so that parents, students put into place what we call standard operating procedures when you travel abroad as a student, because you're likely to be alone during most part of the day and most part of the year. Any questions? And then I'll just end it formally with a formal presentation on do's and don'ts.
Ma'am, better to carry the passport or the BRP on person all the time?
No,
Or
no, never, never. So
leave
Rishita,
it in a
again,
locker? Okay.
So if you have, personally, I don't carry my passport anywhere or my BRP anywhere.
Okay.
I carry my driver's license. So my Indian driver's license, I carry that as a proof of ID wherever I go, because if that gets lost also, that it's easily replaceable. But Aadhaar card is not really accepted in, so I usually need it only for like, sorry, but for entry into like pubs or wherever. But yeah, like they accept a driver's license. So I feel like that's the best thing to have, not a BRP or a passport, because even if it gets lost, it's expensive to get a BRP back. And passport, I'm not too sure what the procedure
so
is.
do they accept the one on phone? If you have your ID on phone, do they accept it?
No, so they need they need a physical ID which has a chip on it, because they scan it at the entry, and that shows how old you are. It's just a proof of 18 plus, basically.
Okay, wonderful idea. So everybody, please get a driving license made ASAP, because that could also serve as an ID
Yeah.
instead of a passport. I think that's a great idea that I didn't
So it's
even
safe
think
to
of.
leave these documents in a locker in your room, right? The passport and
Yeah,
the BRP.
you know, you get like these really tiny locked boxes. So you just lock it and put
Okay.
it in your suitcase. That's what I've
Uh-huh.
done. So I
Yeah.
don't really open it till I'm traveling, because then my bag also needs to come out and the passport needs to come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know that Indian driver's license are accepted. I know in some countries the Indian Aadhaar card is also accepted. So these are things which are, not so expensive to replace, as correctly identified. And of course, if you are going anywhere, and you can always call them and ask them what ID they are accepting. But largely, I feel these two are fine. A lot of them also accept ID on your phone, except of course, when you're traveling, then you need the physical copy. Even if you're traveling, say, from one corner to the other within the country, from a Sydney to a Melbourne, or then you would definitely need a formal ID that will allow you to travel. So that covers a lot of ground that we had intended to cover. And I'll just share that thank you to the parents who are on this panel today. Thank you to our alumni. Gratitude to you for attending and sharing your gyan. And so just a few quick sort of rules. Make sure that when you're applying and you're packing your bag, scan your hard copy of passport on your phone. Carry hard copies for everything. In case your phone doesn't, it sometimes takes a SIM a few, maybe a day before it works. So have a Xerox hard copy of everything in your backpack. You will reach your bag after immigration. So your backpack should have this. Don't pack it in your suitcase, in your luggage. So these should be handy in your backpack, because so that sometimes you may need it before you reach your bag. Your visa for UK, this is especially for UK students, your visa you will get only for 2 months, that is 60 days. When you arrive at campus on a UK university campus, that will issue you your British resident permit, which is a temporary, like an Aadhaar card. It is as small as the Aadhaar card. So guard it with your life, don't lose it. Keep it with your passport, zip it, save it. And that is what will have actual visa for duration of study. Your passport will have only a 60. This is very unique to UK and no other country. And all your financials, please carry a Xerox of everything, because sometimes the visa officer or the may ask for the documents. So have them handy in your backpack and not in your checked-in luggage. Yes, Meenal ma'am?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that is it very country specific for certain apps, for money payment, like how we have now using GPay, and so do they
Yes.
also have country specific certain apps which allow you to pay from phone so you don't have to carry so much cash
Correct. So
around?
that so during the orientation week at every university, these are the questions they help you answer. You can open a bank account only when you reach there. We are advising that check out the banks near your home or near where you're living or near your university. Most universities have affiliated banks on campus. Campuses are large. They are many like townships having everything. And yes, every country has a GPay version, though to be honest, India has the most efficient.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have the highest digital payment services, but most countries do have their own systems, and it's better to either connect with them as soon as you land.
Is
Some of
GPay universal to many countries like UK,
not at
US?
all, not at all, because it's connected to the local bank. Usually banks give you a facility. So wherever you open an account, that would give you the facility to use online payments.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Right? So at the airport,
Ma'am, just one question. In the last slide, you talked about financial documents. So what would they be typically?
typically it would be the, just the FDs or whatever financials you've shown to get a visa, but Xeroxes.
Okay. Okay.
You don't carry originals in your backpack, but we never know.
Right. Okay.
And you must also have full information on how you are going to travel from the airport to your dorm or wherever you are going once you land. Don't plan to do a lot. You'll be very tired when you land. And be careful. Try and move in groups even after you land. And at the airport in UK, they ask for the chest X-ray. Other countries don't really ask for anything. But just officer may just ask you things. Don't get nervous. He's just trying to sometimes be friendly, but being the mental thing, oh, it's a visa officer or it's an officer on duty at the airport. What is he asking? So don't overthink, be calm. And if you lose anything, there are resources at the university, there are resources at the airport who can help you. So the purpose of this session was not to scare you, but to make you, what we say, forearmed is forewarned. And so that when you go, you are completely calm, completely ready for what it takes to have an extremely good journey in your next phase of education and career. Thank you all for attending. Thank you especially to our panelists and those who have shared their life experiences. And last 2 minutes for any question that we've not covered. So the purpose was to cover documents to carry, medical, healthcare, safety, and all of it which goes to make you an extremely productive and happy student. Thank you for being here. And anyone who wants to share, wait on, I'm here till the end of the session.
Ma'am, once the visa application is done, how long do they take to issue the visa?
Usually 3 to 4 weeks is the current wait period. But if it is UK, remember it will only be for 60 days. And therefore, when you
Right.
go to UK, you'll have to get the BRP card.
And it has to be done by you after getting all the documents from the university,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
University doesn't apply on your behalf.
No,
You have
at
to
there is a visas officer or a visa department at the university. You'll have to go there and apply.
No, while applying from India, I'm asking this question. While applying from India, you have to apply
Applying
yourself.
from India, the university will send you the CAS letter. You can
Okay.
come to us and we can help you with the visa applications.
Okay.
Yes, Vedika?
Ma'am, I think I missed what you said. Let's say you said the visa is given for 60 days. But if she wants to come back during her vacation or holiday and again go back, so how it works?
So this is only for UK. Is she going to UK?
UK, yeah, she's going to UK.
Yeah. So the passport will have a 60-day stamp, but as soon as you land at university, Vedika will have to apply for the BRP card, which is the British resident permit. It's a temporary permit card, which will be for the entire duration of the studies. So every time she enters and leaves UK, she has to show that with her passport. That is her actual visa.
Okay, understood. Got it. So it's a visa. The BRP card will act as a visa also.
Yeah, it's like an Aadhaar card, which will say duration of validity.
And if she has to travel outside UK to some other country, she has to apply
And
for a
also
visa.
she has to apply, but this BRP card permits her endless in and out, but it's like a passport. Wherever you need a passport, you will need the BRP card.
Understood. Thank you.
Right, Rishita? Am I giving right advice?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, everyone. And we are here. We will be around till you all leave. This is just one of the first series. And if there are more questions, we are happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was
Thank you.
really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask you, is it advisable to go drop your child and settle them in, or is it really not required for masters?
For masters, usually it's two things. One, if they have a group, then generally we say don't go at the time of when they depart. Maybe you go in the winter after they've settled in so that you can also have a holiday. But with
Okay.
Rand, he's going to Australia where not many students are going this term, especially in September. Maybe you need to go.
I need to go?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just look into it and yeah, thank you.
Tourist visas are applied separately, so they have nothing to do with the student visa.
Okay, I'll definitely get it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Rishita. Really appreciate it.
Thank
How
you
are
so
your-
much. Sorry?
How are you enjoying your course?